Hello, I'm Jason Carl, and I have the honor to be the Dean of Dungeon Master University, a brand new program, a symposium style 2-day event that's coming for you, the Dungeon Master. And with me today to talk about Dungeon Master University are two of our faculty members, Mike Tinney and B. Dave Walters. Gentlemen, would you please introduce yourselves and tell us a little bit about your connection to Dungeons and Dragons?
Uh, I'm Mike Tinney. I've been in the industry since 1993. Most of my time has been spent with a company called White Wolf, but I've been playing D&D. Like I still have a copy of Chainmail in my basement. My original copy of D&D had chits that you punch out. I still have.
You didn't have dice.
I still have my original set of dice that I colored in with a crayon, deep cut, wiped off, and that die is nearly perfect. That 20-side die is almost perfect. So, back then D&D was a competition between the dungeon master and the player. There was no collaboration. Your job, if you were DMing, was to kill your friends' characters. There were no safe lanes. If I found out that you didn't like frogs, your character is going to be murdered by a bunch of frogs. So, but I love the hobby. I've been in it forever, and I think it's a very special kind of collaborative entertainment that just gets better as we continue to explore the boundaries.
It is I, B. Dave Walters. I was the Dungeon Master for the first D&D campaign on television on G4 TV, Invitation to Party. I ran the game for the cast of Stranger Things on Netflix Geeks. I also have been playing for nearly 35 years because I'm much older than I look. Hopefully, that I look. And I've loved it this entire time because yes, I also came up in the age of it was very much adversarial. The Dungeon Master was trying to kill you, you were trying to survive. And I've watched the evolution to collaborative story and adventure that you're telling together. And one of the things about me is anything I love to do, I love to both talk about and also teach. And I've had the privilege of teaching hundreds of people how to run the game. And so when this idea was proposed, I was like, absolutely, I have to be a part of it. And I'm jumping ahead, but I had to teach the section I'm teaching in particular. Sure.
We'll talk about that in a moment. I promise you'll get a chance to talk about the course that you're teaching. Thank you very much. I also have a long history with Dungeons and Dragons. As a young boy growing up in rural Maine, it was always my dream to work with D&D. And I was able to realize that many years later when I became part of the Dungeons and Dragons 3rd edition design team at Wizards of the Coast. So I worked on a lot of 3rd edition books there. And from there, I got a chance to become a professional dungeon master when D&D in a Castle arrived on the D&D scene. And Tabletop Vacations, which is producing Dungeon Master University for you, is also the great group of people who bring you D&D in a Castle and D&D weekends. Mike, before we get to your courses, could you tell us a little bit about Tabletop Vacations and how Dungeon Master Unity fits into the grand scheme?
Sure. Dungeon Master University. So Tabletop Vacations is the brainchild of Cameron and Tara Rout, brother and sister team that conceived of what is essentially a journey back to your childhood. The weekends that you would play D&D all weekend long in somebody's basement where their mom brought you breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and you all had sleeping bags. This is the adult version of that. And it's amazing. My business partners and I got involved after the pandemic, and we thought that it was just a marvelous expression of the hobby. I call it the canvas. You don't get to play a game like this anywhere else. Like 3 days in a row where the only thing you're doing is playing D&D, 24 to 36 hours of gaming is just a story that you can't tell. Even if you did it every weekend at your home, you couldn't tell the story in the same way. People are, parking their car, they're leaving your job, they're mentally checking in and mentally checking out. Somewhere between day 1 and day 3, you forget the name of the day, and you just know what's happening in your campaign.
It's the binge model of D&D.
Yeah,
No, very much.
it's awesome. And so one of the things we noticed at D&D in a castle is that a very high percentage of our attendees were forever DMs. They're the people that run the tables for their group of friends. And this was their indulgence where they would treat themselves to a game and then pick up tips and tools and techniques from the high caliber dungeon masters that come to those events and run the games there. And so we explored and started talking about like any idea, it's that little spark that sometimes catches a flame, and that flame turns into a small fire. And if you're involved with business and business decision making, you look for those things internally. You look for those opportunities where something happens and you're talking about it and you keep talking about it and you keep talking about it. And then you're like, oh, well, maybe there's something here. So we pitched it to Hasbro and Wizards. They loved the idea. And it really is a skill building symposium. It's for people that love the dungeon master and want to take their dungeon mastering up to the next level. And there's a ton of ways to do that. You do it online for free, but at this event, you can actually interact with the people that do it full time for a living professionally. Get one-on-one time with them to ask them the questions that are relevant to you. You can run a game for them and get their notes on, what you're doing well, what you should lean into, what maybe you could work on. It's the first of its kind. Like we don't have something like this yet.
No, this is unique, really. And one of the things that I like very much about this concept is that there are multiple ways to learn to be a better DM at this Dungeon Master University event. The program, in its symposium style, includes a selection of 4 different courses on different major topics of dungeon mastering. It includes office hours, which are rare one-on-one opportunities with a professional dungeon master to talk about solving a certain problem at your home table, or getting inside knowledge on the gaming industry and how to do it professionally. And then there are 1-hour seminars, which are a lecture style opportunities for professionals on specific topics, real deep dives. And then one of the most interesting and valuable ways to learn is, of course, the DM audit opportunity. And students at DM University who decide to participate get a chance to run their game for a professional dungeon master and some of their peers at the university as well, and then get feedback and commentary from the professional DM on whatever aspect of DMing that they're trying to improve. It is such a rare and unique opportunity that I think that's one of the things that I'm most excited about for Dungeon Master University. But I'd like to know, I see B Dave has an additional comment that we're going to go to now.
I do.
Coming to you now, B Dave.
It's also, I want to tell you what it's not. It is not us trying to turn you into us. A lot of things have been made in recent years about the so-called Matt Mercer effect. There's like people will talk to me and they're like, oh, I can't run a game like you. I can't run a game like Jason Carl. I can't run a game like Mercer or Brennan. And I'm like, well, no, you can't actually. You cannot do what I do, but I can't do what you do. None of us can tell your story. None of us have your unique traits, your unique perspective, your unique song to sing and story to tell. And so one of the main cruxes of this is helping figure out your strengths and really magnify those strengths. And yeah, okay, you've got some weaknesses, plug those in, but find the things that really make you special and really bring those things out to the forefront.
Yeah, 100%. Like you look at any choice of like career or life or life path, what have you. People that are great at that aren't great at that because they've mastered their weaknesses. They're great at that because they've mastered their strengths, and they've turned their strengths into these amazing advantages that are best in class. And to E. Dave's point, they've shored up their weaknesses. But if you don't like combat, you're never going to run the best combats. So figure out what you do love and make that excellent.
Well, let's follow that a little bit. B-Dave, you are, of course, as we've stated, a professional dungeon master. You have been a professional DM at D&D in the Castle many, many times. You still love DMing.
Yeah.
I can tell that you do, because every time I watch you DM, I get inspired by your enthusiasm. What do you like best about dungeon mastering? And what about that are you going to bring to your courses?
I have been blessed I've lost count of how many of these. I've run like 25 or 26 tables at various D&D to Castle and D&D weekends. It's down to me and Mark Meir, who've done it the most. He's not here today, so I think this is another strike for me. Also,
You listen to this, Mark Mayer?
the castle that you came to and had such a good time at and made you want to invest, I put that castle together. So, I just want that on the record. Also, maybe Mark Meir was at that too. Maybe Mark Meir's been the secret sauce this entire time.
He was the first DM I played with when I dropped in at D&D in the Castle in 2019.
Well,
Guys are both, you're very different DMs. You're both excellent at your craft.
here's the problem. I love him so much that it's like I have to just accept that. You know what I mean? Like if I must come in second place, not saying that I am second place, but if I must be second place, it could be to Mark Meir. But yes, to me, I've been blessed that I write for film and television. I've published comic books, graphic novels, novels. Like there's a very short list of people who have had the storytelling success that I've had. It's like J. Michael Straczynski, Neil Gaiman, and me in terms of the amount of things I've managed to accomplish. And one of the things that I love about Dungeons and Dragons is a speech I always give and will inevitably say at this course. Your brain doesn't know the difference between something that is real and something that is vividly imagined. It's why you can wake up from a nightmare and your chest is pounding, or you can have a panic attack and have physiological symptoms, because your brain doesn't know what's make-believe. So when we play these games and you go somewhere with your friends and you take a journey and you slay the dragon together, in your mind, that's real. It lives in the same place prom does, where your mind is storing these memories. So, when we call D&D in a Castle a vacation beyond imagination, it's like, that's true. You didn't just come to a castle. You went into space. You went into hell. You went to the heavens. You saved the world. And the fact that we have the gift and the honor and the privilege to bring those experiences to people is something that I take very seriously. So that is why, if you don't mind, can I say what I'm doing? I don't want to go off the script here.
Well, if you'd like to talk about your coursework now before I actually ask you the question, I think it's okay.
Well, I run into people all the time that have been running the game for a very long time. And a lot of times I find those games can almost become crystallized. It is good though to continue to always expand. Like we were just saying, it used to be very adversarial. Now it's very cooperative. The games move through different editions. There's different ways to express it to have the maximum impact for the people at the table. Because when someone is spending hours a week with you, maybe over months, maybe over years, they're literally sharing a piece of their life with you if they're giving you their time. And I feel like we have a moral obligation to make that the most exciting, the most fulfilling, the most impactful that we possibly can. And that is why not only do I still love storytelling, but I'm so enthusiastic about telling the story here and helping at DMU. And I didn't spoil too much of what I'm actually teaching.
Not too much. I'll allow it.
See, that's a
Look at
setup.
us getting along.
That's a setup. That's a
Look, you slap. I'm going to ask Mike you the same question though. What do you love most about dungeon mastering? I've had the privilege of sitting at your table, being a player with you. You've been sat at my tables. They're very different styles, but I see the joy in your face when you do it. What do you love about it?
Yeah, I mean, I think for me, I look at it. So my background is in game design. That's how I entered games, and I have both a head for kind of the mechanics and the rule set, and understanding that rules drive behavior. So any rules you have, any mechanics you have, those going to drive behavior. I talk about this all the time in some of my other professional interests. The rules for hide and seek and the rules for tag are very different. They're both good rule sets. They drive very different behaviors. And games are one of the oldest forms of teaching and learning and communicating and training. So what I like about dungeon mastering is that you have this canvas that you can work with, and you have these other collaborators in the form of players. And I really love the kind of the energy that can come from a, a little bit of like a jazz sort of music vibe, where the DM is laying down the beat or the bass line. Everybody else is making their contributions, and the DM's job, in my perspective, is to kind of manage those contributions and signal it so everybody has an equal part at the table. And where the rules come in for me is they begin to define how people look at their game experience and how they express themselves. If you have rules for social mechanics, people are going to be more social. Or if you have rules for combat, people are going to be more fighty. And you as the dungeon master, when you open up that rule book, you're kind of curating your menu for the night, and you're going to decide what you serve people, and what you serve people will be the rudder of the behavior that occurs at the table. And what I especially love about that is you can create a scene. I always say, like, my job is to give you the problem, not figure out your solution. Like, your job is the solution to the problem. My job is the problem. And that's one of the funnest parts of it. I used to run LARPs. That was my earliest thing. And we'd do these 200, 300 person LARPs. I would call it setting up the dominoes. We just have it all planned out, but we have no idea how people would solve the problems that we presented to them. And that's my favorite part of it. That's my favorite part is figuring out, or learning, I guess is the better way of saying, learning how other people think about the situations that I've created for them.
But the players and the dice will both surprise and betray you.
Yeah.
Let's take this thinking a little bit further. You both love dungeon mastering. Some of the reasons overlap. Some of them are quite different. You both talked about learning through the Dungeon Master experience. Dungeon Master University is a place and a time where dungeon masters can come to work on things that are important to them, magnify their strengths, discuss weaknesses if they want to. You've both described what you love. You're teaching together our course on skill building. And skill building, when you hear it, we go back to your earlier sneak preview there. When you hear it, could mean many different things. To some DMs, it's going to mean, oh, that means I should get better at memorizing rules, or, oh, maybe that's about how to build terrain and use movement. It can cover a wide variety of topics, but you've both chosen some very specific skills to help DMs work on. So I'd like to keep that same I love DMing energy and tell me about the actual courses that you're planning to teach. Can we start with you, B-Dan?
Sure. Full disclosure, we're recording this sometime before January, and I reserve the right to change all of this. But
That would never happen.
it just was like, hey, me improv, me throw the plan out the window. No. Yes, skill building, starting with the fundamentals. For me, it is things like your characterizations of NPCs, things that you can do to bring your world to life.
Okay.
Also some of the more conceptual things that you might even think about in an encounter design. I was just talking with somebody, very experienced storyteller, that was doing a live one-shot with an audience and was really hung up on their story. And I was like, well, what's the theme? It's like, what do you mean? They were like, oh, they're going to steal the MacGuffin or whatever, they told me. And I'm like, no, that's what happens. What's the theme? What's the statement you as storyteller are trying to make? What do you intend for these people to feel? When you're clear on that, that will inform everything else. Because I think a lot of times people just sit down, to the previous point, you're 100% right about the menu. But sometimes people are like, well, this week they'll fight a dragon. And that sort of is there. And I'm like, well, yeah, why?
Why?
If they're just going to fight a dragon, let's be honest, they can play a video game and it's probably going to be a pretty engaging game.
I can promise you, no dragon grows up thinking it's going to be your level up.
Yeah, right.
And so everyone has their own plan.
Yeah, today's the day that, yeah. And so even just like some of that level of thinking, because it's not so much about, you know, I'm not showing up to tell you how advantage or disadvantage work in, 2014 or, changes to Rangers in 2024. We can have that conversation during office hours if you like. I'm coming down with a more both top down and bottom up philosophical framework of just how even to approach this to make sure you have a strong enough foundation that every game is good, or at least better. Your games are already good because you're good. You're great, but more better.
Now, that sounds very different from the skills that you intended to focus on. So, Mike, I'd like to ask you the same question. What are you intending to include in your skill building courses, and how will you approach it?
Sure. I'll skip to the end and say, I'm not sure how I'm going to do it yet. But I'm the human that has played with the widest number of our professional DMs.
Oh, okay.
And I am both a player and a DM, and I think there are very different ways to explore the hobby and to push the boundaries of your craft. So many times I hear people say, I had no idea the party was going to do that. Completely, like, they're in a place I'd never prepared for. I don't know what I'm going to do now that they X, Y, or Z. And I realized over the last couple of years, that never happens to me. I always know where they're going. Even if I don't know where they're going, I have the ability to look at the matrix of decisions and predict the logical outcomes. And sometimes I'm delighted, but I'm never caught off guard. And my games don't run late. They happen on a schedule. And it's not because I know everything is going to happen. It's because the same skills for running a company or a board meeting or presentation or getting your kids to do their chores or going out on date night with your partner, these skills they apply to everything. And so I'm going to try to figure out how to unpack the things that I do all the time and share them with people that feel like they're not in control of their games, that they don't have a handle on the pacing, that their players are driving them in directions they're not prepared for. Because currently I can just say, I have no idea how that happens to you. But I see it happen all the time. But that's what I want to teach people. I want to teach people the soft skills of running the table, of anticipating people's actions, of asking the calibrated questions that kind of focus thoughts of your players and drive cohesion while still challenging them and delighting you with what they gave back to you.
Let me add on to that. A joke that we always have in this community is that scheduling is the real last boss of D&D. I get my group to the table. That's a problem I don't have. I mean, I had people when I was running my Patreon games getting up 2, 3, 4 in the morning where they were coming on their birthdays or taking time off work if it was a big thing. And that's if you're providing an experience that is of substance, then your players will prioritize it. I mean, time and tide happen. We get flat tires, babysitters cancel. But this is all to the point that you're making. If you're covering those things that are generating the proper experience, you will have no problems with engagement.
Well, let's dig into that a little deeper and come back to something that you said a little earlier as well. One of the things that you plan to focus on in your skill building course is encounters. And so what I want to ask you then, keeping in mind what you just said, what do you hope the dungeon masters who choose your course come away with? What will they be better at, or what will they be able to think about differently that will make their games better for their players?
There is a reason why video games will never completely replace this pastime. No matter how good the AI gets, no matter how big the sandbox gets, there will always be limits. You can't decide to go and join the bad guy. You can't decide to propose to the dragon. You can't decide to just build a hippie commune in the woods and don't even go fight in the war, right? It is the infinite capacity for potential in these games or what makes it important and what makes it interesting. And so I think if you come away from my courses in particular, understanding how to elicit a human emotion, how to make the human beings that are at the table with you feel something. How, especially because in a time now, we are in the darkest timeline and people are starving for connection. They're starving for empathy. They're starving for a feeling of significance and just quite frankly, feeling human. And it's strange that by pretending to be elves and Aasimar and tieflings, we actually become the most human. So that's what I hope you get from me, that you can make a human being feel their real human emotions in a way that is going to stick with them forever. We just had people that showed up. They'd been at my table in Ohio and were there in England and had a whole tattoo piece of their character from my game. And I'm like, that is beautiful, because in those 3-4 days we spent together, that person was moved to such an extent that they wanted to commemorate it on their body forever. And that was so gratifying to me as a storyteller, that I was able to help facilitate that trip we took together. And that's what I want to share with you.
I'll share here, Dave, that I've played in your games a couple times. I've watched you work. You have this ability to create kind of compass points of your story that you've planned in advance, and then dovetail and weave player expression for their characters into that story as it goes in like a live feed. The data is coming in and it's coming back out, and it's pulling everybody in, and you're kind of like weaving the threads of their story about their characters into your story. And you do it consistently in an incredibly provocative, emotionally kind of deep way. So if you can figure out, and I think you've already started to, if you can figure out how to unpack that and teach that as a skill that other DMs can start to build on, that will revolutionize the way some people run their home tables.
Well, there you go. Come to DMU and I'll show you how to do that. There you go. That's it. This whole talk is a tech talk now.
And I'll have you end on time.
One of the things that I really admired about your style, Mike, you and I played D&D recently together, and I was at your table for the first time, was your self-possession around table management. There are 6 players at the table. They all want to do fun things. You've got several days to play, but even that goes by so fast.
Yeah.
And yet your games never felt like we weren't making our own decisions. It never felt like, we were outside of a structure that you had anticipated. As you said, you knew where we were going. So if I, as a DM, want to take this course from you, what am I going to come away knowing what to do? Will I be able to do what I saw you do? Can I manage it? Can I learn to manage a table in the Mike Tinney style?
I think so.
Okay.
I don't like that sentence makes me uncomfortable. The Mike Tinney style.
Too late.
The fist foot.
It's out there now. Said it on there. It's out there.
It's true now.
It's going to go viral.
But I mean, I was talking to one of our players who had pulled me aside at one of the events. They had played in one of my hardcore mode games, and then they went and played in another game.
Okay.
And they were giving me some feedback, sort of posthumously, from after they've done this a couple times. And one of the things they commented on was what you kind of said, the pacing and things like that.
Yes.
And I said, it's the same skill set if you're going to run a meeting, if you're going to organize any group of people to accomplish something as a group. And this light bulb went off for the wife. She's like, I do that all the time at work. Well, you can do it at your table too. It's the same skill set. So it is, to answer your question, it's learnable, it's teachable, it's discoverable. Now, various people have, to our earlier point, different strengths and aptitudes.
Yes.
And we have some DMs that are brilliant at the way they DM that would never run a game the way I would. And that's okay, because their brilliance shines in different formats.
We made that point earlier in our discussion, that each DM especially DM University, is bringing something special, different, unique to the table. You are 2 of those dungeon masters, and As I see, we're nearing the end of our time together. I do want to give you a chance to say one more thing about Dungeon Master University, the course that you're teaching, and talk about why DMs should come join us, if you would. Anybody can start. It's a jump ball.
I'm always in a jump ball. Here's the thing, to the point, there is quite a lot of really top flight instructional content out there that you can access right now. A lot of it was made by friends of mine. Quite frankly, a lot of it was made by me. I think the thing that will set this apart is, to your previous point, the in-depth experiential nature of it. That you can get in there, that we can really take these things apart, that we have world-renowned experts on a variety of topics, that you can not only ask your questions, but you can hear other people's questions too, because someone else in the room may ask a question that you hadn't even thought of that is going to unlock some key epiphany for you somewhere down the road. And especially if you have the chance to have somebody essentially test drive your campaign and help you. Because the reality is, I am aware of how lucky and privileged I am to do what I do. And people ask me all the time how they can get some of the opportunities that I've gotten. And the answer is by having something unique to offer, but to also have something superlative to offer. So if you're even considering doing this, and quite frankly, you have the ability to do it, you absolutely should. I don't know if we're going to show the names of some of the people that are here, but they're all superstars. And the fact that you can get 4 to 8 hours of hearing them talk about the thing that makes them legendary, plus maybe some one-on-one time, plus maybe some table time, you literally can't get that on YouTube. So definitely come, pull up a chair. And, if we can't talk at the time, we can't talk in the office, who knows? Maybe we all tend to end up in the tavern afterwards. We'll talk about it there, but it'll definitely be worthwhile.
Mike, anything to add?
Well, I mean, so at DMU, you're going to pick your course, one of 4 courses based upon what you want to work on. You're going to drop into as many seminars as you want to drop into, and those are all going to be like little bursts of knowledge on a specific subject. So I think last night, Dave just offered to run a 45-minute high-level play.
Yeah, I heard you offer it, so that now that's in the set.
Just said it on the internet live. I'm going to do a seminar on
It's going to happen.
Yep.
But if I was attending, the thing that I would probably spend the most time thinking about leading up to it was what I wanted with my 30 minutes of one-on-one time. Because that's you sitting down with one of the faculty, one of the professors, one of the industry professionals, and you get to put their time on your problem or opportunity and get their advice on it. And that's probably the most potentially transformative part about this. Most people are not going to get Monty Cook to hop on a video chat with them for 30 minutes.
Yeah, that's not going to happen too often.
But you can sit down with this guy who has broken Kickstarter records time and time again for fundraising, for IP development, world building. And you can get him to care about whatever is the most important thing to you relating to this hobby for 30 minutes. And that's special. That can be transformative. That can break you out of wherever it is you are and take you closer to where you want to go. That's what I'd spend the most time on if I was attending.
See, now I want to take your course. So can I sign up? Can I be a student?
You can audit. You can be in the back.
That'd be great. Yeah, the dean is going to audit your course. Okay. I'm really just going to be taking notes for my own home campaign. Well, thank you both very much for spending this time together with me today. It has been a privilege and an honor to talk to you both. We're talking about Dungeon Master University, which is January 2nd and 3rd, 2026. Our host is Oglethorpe University in Atlanta, Georgia. You'll find registration information attached somewhere near or on this video. And we hope that you, Dungeon Master, will join us there.
And I'll just add, because I think it'll be a fun soundbite at some point, that this parent is the deranged buddy cop movie that goes off the rails, breaks the rules, but gets results.
Yeah, there's no way this ends well.
Yep, and we will deny it vehemently afterwards. So you got to be in the room to see it happen.